When this pandemic first arrived in this country, or COVID 19 arrived, we all felt some anxiety over what this would mean for our future and how bad of a toll this virus would ultimately be on our communities. We've since gone from worry, which is still there for many, to a better understanding of COVID 19. So, from anxiety to, for some, anger, maybe even defiance, we're all living differently in the age of COVID. Listen to this new finding. A Yale University professor said that her free online course on the science of living a happy life has seen enrollment spike by about 3,000% in the last couple of years. Dr. Cindy Waller is a psychologist and expert in human behavior who works with organizations in both the private and the public sectors. Dr. Waller, 3,000% increase in people seeking an expert in learning skills to live a happier life. What does that say? Besides the obvious, dig a little deeper for me.
So it says that during COVID, during the global pandemic, we've had a chance to step back, reflect on what the world and life means to us. And so, how do you find sources of happiness? We now know there's the great resignation. Employees now hold the power seat. They're the candidates, it's a buyer's market because what is important to us, what brings us happiness, has shifted. And so, that's the silver lining behind the global pandemic from my point of view.
What kind of changes are people making besides career changes that you know of? And when you have clients sitting before you and they're saying, I don't know how to be happy, what do you tell them?
So I'll answer your question in a couple of different ways. In terms of changes that people are making, you're right, they are looking at what they want out of a job. And so, first off, it's do I feel valued and recognized and rewarded as an employee? And in terms of finding happiness, it really goes back to your value set. So, look at the gifts that you have, stop comparing yourself to others. If when we compare ourselves to others, there's always more. So people who are more moneyed, more attractive, more talented, brighter, and that's a losing proposition. It's about really about how do you be just you, and if you be just you, then you can find your center of happiness around the gifts and the resources that you have, whether you're creative, whether you are intellectual, whatever means that you have to be able to derive some satisfaction.
Okay, so let me ask you this. On one hand, with having employers get to have more of a say because there's such a demand for workers, um, that is positive in that they're finding hopefully what they're looking for. But on the other hand, are we becoming a more entitled culture, which was already something before the pandemic, where now people are like, nah, I don't think I'll take what you're offering. I'm going to go over here. And it just creates more issues too.
It can, absolutely. And so that entitlement, though, is going to be short lived. So if you are more entitled and you show up at work and you are not producing, not delivering, not motivating your team, not bringing value, then your entitlement will see you outside the front door. So I think there's a quick reality check on the sense of entitlement because at the end of the day, you have to be a contributor. And how are you contributing really through others?
So, how do you instruct people who are trying to find, I shouldn't say instruct, but what do you tell the folks who are trying to find that happy medium? Because as people watch this, they're looking for practical ways of you taking your advice and implementing it into their own lives.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing is to decide what's important to you. So in terms of all of us needing to feel valued, so if you're looking for work or different line of business, then what does being valued mean? Does it mean that you want to have a strategic role? Does it mean that you want to lead a team? Does it mean that you need to figure out how to influence others? So first figure out what it is that you want that gives you satisfaction. And what we do in error is that human nature is to say, I'm unhappy and therefore I'm going to flee, or therefore I'm going to cross the street, or I'm going to go where the grass is greener, without reflecting and saying, okay, why am I unhappy? What is missing? And maybe it is that I'm an individual contributor and I want to be part of a team. Maybe it is that I want to be a change agent. So the first step is to figure out the source of the unhappiness and then what really is going to motivate you, inspire you, and excite you, and then seek that out, and then create a role or a job or figure out an employer that's going to be able to satisfy that.
Do you believe that there is greener grass in general? Because I'm of the mindset that you're going to have a problem if you're the one looking for problems, and greener grass just isn't possible sometimes with some people.
Well, I think to your point, you have to have realistic expectations. So it depends on how green you want the grass to be. And you're right. If you cross the street and you think it's going to be nirvana or some dreamy kind of existence, I always tell my clients that you're going to trade one set of problems for another. Every employer, every organization, every industry has its challenges. And so you have to learn part of being happy is resilient. And so I talk to my clients around building resilience, having the expectation one, there's obstacles, two, there's going to be failures, three, you're going to be let down, and how do you pivot? And you pivot because you expect in part that that's going to happen. You brush yourself off. If you go in and think that it's going to be streamlined and all positive, then you will be let down and then you will be pessimistic.
Yeah, I have teenage boys, and I let them know never to expect a utopian workplace anywhere or utopian life. And they live with me, so they know better anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if they find that, then let me know. Then they've got the magic cure to all. I would like to know. Make sure you got me on a 1-800 number if your boys can source that out.
If they find it, I'm going to be more than a millionaire, and you're going to find me on a beach in Tahiti somewhere. Dr. Waller, you have great insight. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. Great to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.